Hi, it's Lynn Shuck from Healing and Balance. We're looking at forward folds and the different ways your spine can articulate or not when you're bending forward and coming back up. There are two general ways it gets taught, and I usually teach the first one. So they're both valuable. The first one is to find this neutral position of your spine. You have a lumbar curve, you have a cervical curve, there's a thoracic curve. All these curves are in place, but there's length. And then I'm going to picture the front of my pelvis. I want to hinge right at the hip joint. So I'm going to picture the front of my pelvis tipping forward without changing the shape of my spine. I'm bringing the front of my pelvis toward the floor, toward my thighs. And I should be able to get to 90 degrees and still have some lumbar curve. And if you're stuck here, then you've learned something about your ability to flex your hips or the tightness in your hamstrings. Could be a variety of reasons why you're not able to flex further, but you should be able to get to 90 eventually and maintain that lumbar curve. We're going to go as far over as we can go, and at this point you go ahead and allow the upper body to curve over, head hanging. On the way back up, we want to make our way back to that neutral spine. Find the lumbar curve, and then pulling the pelvis up off the front thighs, lift the body up in one piece. So the reason I like to teach that one, numerous reasons. The torso, the strength to hold your spine out here builds your core strength. This increases hip flexion. It increases your proprioceptive awareness of your pelvis moving in space. It lengthens the pelvic floor. The other way of doing this is to roll down the spine and roll back up. It's taught more frequently by most yoga teachers. That's one of the reasons I don't teach it as much, because I'm always trying to introduce what's not as frequently used. But it also is hard on an old SI injury that I have, so I don't like to repeat it, teaching it all week. So once in a while I'll throw it in, but I usually won't demonstrate it very much. So here we go. I'll go ahead and demonstrate it right now. Picture a wall right behind you, and you're going to slowly peel your body away from the wall, and you want to work vertebra by vertebra. So I'm going to pull my chin in, letting my head tip forward away from the wall. And I want to work all the way down my neck till my chin comes toward my chest. And then I'm going to let the shoulders tip away from the wall and the shoulder blades, the upper part of my rib cage, and then the lower part of my rib cage starts to pull off that wall. And at this point, as I get into that lumbar and get as far as I can, at a certain point the sacrum's not going to move. So I will have to release my pelvis toward my thighs. But I allowed my whole spine to flex forward before I took that pelvis over. So we're going to pull up by trying to pull the pelvis back to vertical, bringing your sacrum onto that wall. Bring the top of your pelvis toward the wall. Bring the lower ribs toward the wall, and then the shoulder blades and the shoulders. And then we uncurl the spine. So that's useful also for a different kind of strength in the core. If you're moving slowly, you're going to feel that you really use the front of the body. It's going to articulate those vertebral joints, which we want movement in them. And it's going to create a different kind of proprioceptive awareness of, are you able to move one vertebra at a time? Dunno. I want you to play with them. Think about which one you do more often. Do you know why you do one more often? Is there an injury, or is it what your teacher's been saying, or is it just a habit? Play with these.